So, good evening all. I'm here to talk about the article we wrote for our project for our assignment, and this one is called Sense and Superstition, written by Jane L. Risen and Dave Nussbaum. It was published on October 5th, 2013, and the New York Times was under the psychology section. So, as we look at this article here, it talks about superstition and how it affects us in our daily lives, and how it actually does affect us in a placebo effect kind of way, and it does benefit us. Which is quite interesting, honestly, in my opinion, because we all believe in superstitions. We all follow superstitions every day, basically, knocking on wood, throwing salt over our shoulder, that kind of thing. And the one they do talk about a lot in this article is one about knocking on wood. And if you look at it, and it talks about how, in jinxes, and it talks about how if we knock on something, we knock on wood, and we knock it away from us and push it away from us, it does help us because we push the idea of what might be bothering us away from us, which goes back to this behavior humans have, in which they avoid a problem or move away from a problem, and that is the idea of pushing away the problem that a person encounters. It's pretty interesting. It's talking about how jinxing yourself, and the idea of how jinxing yourself works by just bringing the problem back into our mind, so therefore we think about it and internalize it and focus on it more. How does this article relate to this course? This article, since this course focuses on the behavioral psychology side and behavior, the idea of knocking on superstition is kind of a behavior as a learned thing. It's something we learn over time, and it's a behavior we have. So it applies to itself in that way. And it also has experiment. The article talks about an experiment in which they brought people in and they had them jinx themselves, and then knock on wood away from themselves, so pushing the problem away, and knocking on wood towards themselves, so they knocked up, and how they affected the person differently. And those that knocked towards themselves upwards, the problem still manifests. Well, they still believe the problem manifests in them, and those who knocked away, they believe that they felt the problem was no longer such an issue, and that they removed the jinx from themselves. All in all, it's a pretty interesting article. Kind of cool to read, actually, how superstitions do have an effect on us, even though they're not exactly a real thing, but they do have an effect on us.